Greetings, welcome to Busme US. My name is Dr. Paul R. Human, and this screencast will explain Busme's Journey Builder tool. The purpose of this screencast is to get you familiar enough to start creating route service CSV files for your network plan, which I described in a previous screencast. In earlier screencasts, I created a Busme transportation site for the New Paltz bus loop in New Paltz, New York. I'll go to that site's administration page, which is at sites.busme.us nploop-new-paltz-ny admin. Of course, you'd really want to bookmark that URL. And I will sign in. At this point, I will navigate over to the sidebar and expand the Tools menu item. This will show me the link to continue on to loading the Journey Builder page. First off with this tool is there are some instructions, so you probably want to read those. From here, I can create a CSV file by creating and placing stop points onto the map and filling out the form below with the route and service information. Before we start on the fun stuff, playing with the map, I will fill out the form with the information for one of our routes. I want to call attention to the darker gray slots on the dividers between the header, the sidebar, and the bottom of the page. I may close these sections by clicking on those slots, and that will give me more real estate with which to work with the form and the map. I will now fill out route and service information. The route name is pretty self-explanatory, and I will fill out New Paltz Loop. The route code is an alphanumeric code that I use to identify my particular route. This code may be a string like 330, 440X, 229L. I will just use route 1. The route sort is a number that is used to sort the routes among the other routes in my system when they appear together inside various displays. I only have 2 routes, so I will just use 1 at this point for route 1. The direction is a one-word description that classifies the path that this route takes. The word is of your choosing, and some examples are inbound, outbound, and airport. The word is used to distinguish services in the Busme data model for this particular route. I will use round trip here because buses on this route do a loop. The next fields are pretty self-explanatory, and I will fill in the start dates and the end dates of the service. Now let's go off and do the fun stuff, playing with the map. First off, I will not enter the entire route here because it involves doing 12 stop points, so I'll illustrate with just a few. Here I rotated the New Paltz map so the north orientation vaguely matches our map orientation of having north on the top. I will illustrate creating a path using just the first 3 stops. Now the tool starts off by wanting me to place down at least 2 stop points, a start and an end. Otherwise I would not have a path. So I need to find our start point, which is somewhere up here on Route 32. Just after, so I need to find our start point, which is somewhere up here. Sunset Road, which is over here, Sunset Ridge. And this is where our stop is the BOCES school. So we'll click the mouse and place the path down there. Now you notice the icon is turned to the red stop marker, and that's where we're going to place our next stop. Well, our next stop is over here at North Front Street. So we need to come down and find North Front Street, and I can just click down and move the map as long as I don't quick click, which would place the marker. And we find North Front Street down here, and this is where our second stop is going to be. I click the map and put it down there, and now we're poised to do the third stop. And the third stop will be our bus station over here on the corner of Main and Prospect. And so I will come down here and go over to Main and Prospect and hit here. Now you can see what's happened is that we have discovered the route, so you wouldn't have to draw those lines. At this point, I can hit the escape key, and now we are done with the path. if I look closely, I can see discrepancies between the discovered routes and the route that the bus actually takes on their map. From here we see it's straight out on that road instead of down the slant road, and here we go to this corner and turn right instead of taking this road. We need to fix that on the map. We may fix this issue by placing a marker down between these two stops so that we know that the bus will actually travel a certain direction. So we go over to our first stop and we hit the yellow button, which will say add a waypoint between these two stops. And then you'll see a yellow light bulb come up. And then what we want to do is we want to move it to where the bus will go. And so we know it's going to go down that street. So if we put it over there, then the routes will get discovered, and then we're set for this one. The next one, we notice that the bus actually travels down to the corner of Main and Route 32 before going to the bus station. We can fix that by hitting the waypoint marker here and then putting that over there right on the corner, and that hopefully will discover our routes to the regular place. And then we are done with this. The next thing we want to do is put in the correct names for our bus stops. The route finding service found some suitable names, but they're not exactly what we wanted. So we are going to use these names and put them in those fields over here. Now once we have this situation, when we have our entire route, and we have our route name, our route code, sort, direction, start date, and end date, this button down here, download CSV file, will become live. And we can download it, and we will get the CSV file, and we can open it, and we can see that we have created a CSV file for our particular route without any of the bus times. So we have our route name, which is our route code, our route name, and our route sort, our start date and end date. We don't have any exception dates, but we can enter those in if we want. We have our direction name, and we have our stop points, and we have the 3 stop points here. The first one, the second one, and the third one with a note column, and the KML file. Now here there are a bunch of comments that show you basically how you can enter times into the CSV file. Any road that starts with a hash mark is a comment, so you can leave yourself notes in these files as well. Now the Journey Builder tool does not interact with the data on the server side of Busme. It merely creates a CSV file from the information I put in and gives it to me. I keep all my own files, which means I maintain all my own backups. It is up to you to save these files. That being said, you may like to modify the route of a particular CSV file. If you look to the left, you'll see the route KML box. This is an input box that you may copy or paste into. Anytime you make a change to either the map or the names of the stops, the KML content will change automatically. Therefore, you may modify a route merely by pasting the KML content from a previous CSV file into this box and then do your modifications. For example, in an earlier screencast when I went over the Busme data model, I already had a route defined. I will take the KML from the CSV file and paste it into the Journey Builder tool. I wander over to the end of the route where the KML resides, and I will select it all and copy it. Then I will paste it into the box and hit the Tab key to register the change. And you'll notice that we now have the complete route. So this illustrates how I may be able to work with a previously defined route. This technique can come in handy. For example, I know for this particular bus, Route 2 is the same as Route 1, but without stop point 4. So I will modify the KML from Route 1 merely by deleting stop point 4. I may delete a stop point in one of two ways. I can go to the stop points list and hit the X next to the stop point I want to delete, or I may place my mouse pointer over the marker and then hit the delete key, which is what I'll do here. This deletion will cause the reroute of the deleted path, and hopefully it'll be the route we desired. We can see that the route did get modified, and notice that all the markers got renumbered in order. So now we can tell we have the route we desired with stop point 3 going down Main Street all the way to stop point 4, back up Main Street to stop point 5, and then a left on Route 32 here. Now all I must do is fill in the information for Route 2. And then hit the download CSV file. If we open that file up, we can see we get another CSV file for Route 2 with the stop points. And now we can start entering times. You want to save these files, and you want to save them in a directory that you're going to use for your network. And you may also want to save them in CSV file format, as we can see here. Well, this concludes the screencast on using the Journey Builder tool. This screencast covered only the basic operation of the tool, with enough to get you started on creating a Busme network plan file. There are more editing techniques associated with this tool, but I will address them in later, simpler screencasts. I'm Dr. Polar Human for Busme US. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the ride.